Welcome back to another episode with ByrdAdatto. Today, we're actually going to be covering something a little bit different than our past videos. And we really, first off, we want to thank the physicians and medical providers that have been on the front line. I know we've done a lot of videos, and we really hadn't had an opportunity to say thank you because I've spoken with some of you. I've spoken with a lot of the physicians who are doing a lot of good things. I know you're working incredible hours. And that you're all very stressed, and so we're very appreciative. I know at ByrdAdatto we're very appreciative, but I think our entire nation is appreciative of having such well-trained and individuals who are on the front line helping out those dealing with this COVID-19 pandemic. Now, as a lot of people know, is that these physicians are working incredible hours, barely getting any sleep. And on the second part of that is you have a lot of physicians who are either not working at all, physicians and medical providers not working at all, or working part-time. A lot of that has to do with some things that are happening on the federal government side and on the state side. And a lot of civilians, when I've talked to them about this, had no idea that physicians and medical offices and med spas are all closing because of these orders. So maybe, Michael, you can kind of set the stage as understanding how this all started.
Yeah, and I mean, it seems like a lifetime ago. It was just March 17th, which was just a few weeks ago. And I remember right before that, thinking and even talking to clients that, medical services were not going to be subject to, any closures throughout this. And what we quickly learned is that starting with the federal government, that medical practices were affected, and kind of as the realization across the country about the seriousness of this pandemic came to everyone's attention, so did the seriousness of what the different governmental bodies' actions were relating to these traditional medical services. So on March 17th, the federal government kind of announced, guidelines or recommendations, probably the better word, saying, no elective procedures to preserve supplies. And CMS followed suit pretty quickly after that. They tightened it just a little bit, and they used the word elective, non-essential medical, surgical, and dental procedures. But what followed quickly from there was an executive order from many states, one from Texas, that really tightened it. Texas prevented or prohibited all surgeries and procedures that are not immediately medically necessary to correct a serious medical condition. So that's a huge jump from what we had seen just prior to that by the federal government.
Yeah, and what happened was a lot of our clients started calling us saying, wait, hold on, what am I supposed to be doing? Because the federal government's saying I can't do these elective surgeries and elective procedures, and now the governor's ordering me to do that, and they were rightly pointing out, well, they don't control whether or not I can make medical decisions. I said, you're correct. The medical boards of any state are the ones that ultimately decide what doctors can and cannot do. The government can always make recommendations, as Michael said, or guidelines, but at the end of the day, it has to be the medical boards. And so many states, including Texas, has then, following the governor's order, in this particular case in Texas, they then follow that particular order and say, we agree with the governor, we're going to issue this emergency stay, basically saying, hey, if you're trying to do elective surgeries or procedures, unless this is, the life of the patient's in jeopardy and at your discretion as a physician, you need to stop because it's taking up room in the hospitals and or more importantly, taking up the supplies we need to go fight COVID-19. And we, the medical board, telling you to stop. And not only is telling you to stop, we think it's dangerous to the health, the public health, if you continue this. And we can immediately suspend your license. So that changed overnight for a lot of physicians that were outside of certain areas that were closed already or kind of not following the guidance yet because they didn't feel like they had to. That was a huge shift in the way people were viewing it. So many of our clients overnight went from kind of working to basically almost completely closing their practices or just doing it via telemedicine, which we've talked about in the past already. So there's a giant shift just in Texas alone and other states. And maybe you can kind of give another state like California.
Yeah, California, is another example where they don't have an executive order that's as clear and scary as Texas. Yet, if you go to their frequently asked questions on their website, they make clear that elective procedures, and they have a laundry list of elective procedures that they say should not be done during this time period. And I think the bigger lesson learned or the takeaway is no matter where you are, you want to look and see what has come down from the medical board, so that, and then from a bigger picture, just be sensitive to the tone of what's happening right now, because even if the medical board has not issued an executive order, if something were to go wrong and you were to kind of going along the line of arguing that you can be doing what you should be doing, and you have a bad outcome, or even worse, someone come down with coronavirus, I don't think that the medical board will be forgiving in those circumstances.
Yeah, I think the best way to really look at it is the standard of care has shifted. It's shifted in the sense of what does your community expect you as a physician to do, or a medical provider in general. And if you're not following that what the community would see as the standard of care, you can be exposed by your medical board or even your nursing board or whatever body is controlling your license. So I completely agree with Michael. These are the times in which you're going to have to really stop and analyze, what are you up to? Why are you doing this particular process or procedure? And is it in the best interest of the public health? So those are the things to consider. Again, every state's a little different, but this is that pause moment for everyone to consider why, as a medical provider, what are you up to, and is that the best interest? I know we're almost short on time, Michael, but I think at that point we maybe can kind of step out unless you have anything else to add.
I don't. Call us if you have questions. It is confusing, and I would just err on the side of being conservative at this stage.
Totally agree. Thank you again for joining us, and we always appreciate your feedback, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thank you.